Hey team, so on July 13th, 2023, Troye Sivan released Rush, the lead single for his upcoming album, Something to Give Each Other. And the radical left's response was swift. Their critique? Too skinny, 0 out of 10. No, so the critique is that the concept of the video is just a bunch of hot, sexy, queer people being hot and sexy and dancing. And of the dozens of dancers and background dancers who appear in the music video, all of them are very thin. So the implication is that if you're not skinny, you're not invited to Troye's hot, sexy, queer summer party. If you're not skinny, you're not sexy. Tomato, tomato. If the radical left's backlash was swift, the backlash to the backlash was swifter? I don't think that's a word.
You're not going to see someone that represents you in every piece of media you consume. End of story. And if you need that, then you have mental problems. Right?
So lots of people had a lot to say about this, but I'm going to be structuring this video around this particular TikTok for a few reasons. First, because it was a pretty popular take. At time of recording, it has 1.5 million views, nearly 250,000 likes, and thousands of supportive comments. Even Denisha Carter was agreeing in the comments section, and I rarely see her miss, so... And two, because this TikTok has lived rent-free in my head ever since I saw it, and it's time for eviction. I gotta get it out of here somehow. It's not very long, so I'm gonna start by playing the whole thing for you, just so you know that I'm not misrepresenting his arguments. No hate to this creator, by the way, but... yes, shade.
Every single person is bone rail thin.
You're not going to see someone that represents you in every piece of media you consume. End of story. And if you need that, then you have mental problems. Right? This is a music video that's supposed to be a bunch of hot, shirtless dancers. I'm sorry, as someone that does not have six-pack abs or anywhere near it, I would rather see that than myself dancing around up there. Let's be real. And the reason their bodies look like that is because they probably eat well and work out all the time because they are professional dancers. This is a music video. If you don't like it, move along. You don't need to be the victim in every situation. If you hate seeing skinny people, go watch a Sam Smith music video then, for the love of God. It's going to get to the point where we'll be like, I chipped my teeth in 3rd grade eating rocks. Why do I not see someone with chipped teeth in this music video? I'm bald and there weren't any bald people in that music video. Let's go ahead and cancel that. Enough.
Where do I even start? To be clear, this was originally a stitch of another TikTok, but that original TikTok has since been taken down. As a result, I have no way of knowing what that original creator said. So my responses in this video are only to the stitched TikTok. No. The TikTok that is the stitch. Is there... whatever.
This is a music video that's supposed to be a bunch of hot, shirtless dancers. I'm sorry, as someone that does not have six-pack abs or anywhere near it, I would rather see that than myself dancing around up there.
We'll start here with the claim that fat people aren't hot. Or more specifically, the implication that anyone who doesn't have six-pack abs is not sexy enough to be in this music video. On behalf of all hot people who don't have a six-pack, how dare you? Obviously, attractiveness is subjective, and if you're not attracted to fat people, good for you. But I think this myth that nobody finds fat people attractive is really harmful. And it is a myth. It's a lie. A total fabrication. I get a lot of videos on my YouTube shorts of like street interviews of gay men. There are a bunch where the interviewer goes out and asks as many gay men as he can find whether they prefer bears or twinks. And honestly, when it's not a tie, the bears are often winning.
If you had to pick bears or twinks, what would you pick?
Bears.
Bears. Bears.
Absolutely both.
Bears. I like all flavors.
50-50. Probably bears. Bears.
Bears. Both? Bears.
I'm not personally the biggest fan of this system of categorizing people in the community based on their body types, but the point is that people are attracted to all different body types. And perpetuating the cultural myth that only skinny is attractive hurts not only fat people, but the people who are attracted to them.
And the reason their bodies look like that is because they probably eat well and work out all the time because they are professional dancers.
Oh no. Another myth. Another lie. People can eat well, work out all the time, and be professional dancers, and have all different shapes and sizes of bodies. Lots of people have a hard time wrapping their heads around this because our culture loves to associate thinness with health, so much so that not only do people think that you can't be healthy if you're not thin, but that health is thinness and thinness is health. That there's some ideal body type that everyone would achieve if they just made healthy choices. Of course, that's not true because everybody's body is different, and yet most professional dancers do have a very similar body type, like the one shown in the music video. Not because their bodies need to look like that in order to be able to dance. I fully admit that there are some types of dance, some moves of choreography, some feats of skill that do require a very specific type of body to be able to complete. But this choreography, which I do love, by the way, is not that. And fat people can dance. Fat people do dance, and fat people often dance very well. So fat people should have no problem making it as professional dancers, right? Yet they often don't, so why not? I'm not a professional dancer. I know very little about the world of professional dance, but I do have an educated guess. The dance industry is fatphobic. So I used to watch this really horrible reality show called Dallas Cowboy Cheerleaders Making the Team. It follows a group of women going through the very grueling process of trying out for the Dallas Cowboy Cheerleaders team. It's obviously a very coveted and difficult to achieve position, so the competition is fierce, and pretty much every episode ends with the two coaches sitting down and having one-on-one conversations with at least a couple of girls, either cutting them or threatening to cut them from the team. I haven't watched a full episode in years, but I do remember vividly that often girls would get called into the office by the coaches. They would tell them that there wasn't really anything wrong with their dancing, but that they were at risk for getting cut because they were getting a little tubby. Their bellies had a little bit too much fat.
I cheered for the Dallas Cowboys in 2011, and it was the best year of my life. And I came back from my veteran year, and I was cut. I had some weight issues.
So there I am, a young child watching this TV show, and I'm looking at a woman who has the skinniest waist and flattest stomach that I've ever seen on a person, and she's being told that she's too fat to join the team.
140, Jenna.
Cheered in 2011, so this is 5 years later.
She had put on a little bit of weight her last season with us.
I don't think we witness comebacks very often. She looked great.
Again, it was often very clear that the weight problem wasn't actually affecting the girl's ability to perform at a high enough level. The fat wasn't making her dancing any worse, but because the position is so coveted, the coaches can be picky. And you best believe the fatties were the first to go. Fatties, in this case, being dancers way, way thinner than the average person. This is just one reality show, of course, and like all reality shows, the drama is heightened for the sake of ratings, but I think it probably paints a fairly accurate picture of the dance industry as a whole. Why isn't there more body diversity in the dance industry? Not because people with more body fat can't dance, but because they can't get hired. For some, this means entirely giving up on dancing professionally. For a concerning amount of others, it means doing whatever they can to shape themselves into a hireable dancer's body. In 2020, researchers published a paper called Indicators and Correlates of Low Energy Availability in Male and Female Dancers. According to the researchers, of the dancers they observed, eating disorders had been diagnosed in 15% of the females and 14% of the males. The estimated amount of people in America with eating disorders is around 9%. So the rates of eating disorders among dancers seems to be nearly double the rate of eating disorders among the general population. The paper's authors also found that negative relative energy deficiency in sport risk scores indicated low energy availability in 57% of female and 29% of male dancers, suggesting that these dancers are at risk of developing the clinical consequences of Red S. So 57% of female dancers and 29% of male dancers have unhealthy energy levels because of a lack of nutrition. Why might this be? 44% of females and 32% of males reported being told to lose weight at some point in their training/professional career, mainly by teaching staff or directors. 83% of dancers were influenced to some extent by social media in trying to lose weight, with 30% of females and 14% of males saying this was a constant influence. So dancers are making unhealthy eating decisions that arguably make them worse dancers because of a lack of energy in the name of health, just so they can get work. This is well documented in all sorts of medical and sports research. From an outsider's perspective, it seems like this might be getting slightly better in recent years thanks to the fat acceptance movement and the health at every size movement. You know, the movements that this creator just spent so much time railing against.
You have mental problems, right?
In terms of positive representation of body diversity, this creator specifically mentions Sam Smith.
If you hate seeing skinny people, go watch a Sam Smith music video then, for the love of God.
Listen, not everyone has to love Sam Smith, but I just get so frustrated because Sam used to be like such an it boy of pop music. Everybody loved Sam Smith. All it took was them putting on some weight and coming out as non-binary for their name alone to become a punchline for people. Like, the comment section of this TikTok is eating this Sam Smith comment up.
Go watch a Sam Smith music video then, for the love of God.
Like, you're joking, right? Like, it wasn't a funny comment. There was no joke. The punchline was the name Sam Smith. Like, that's not a joke. What's going on? It's getting weird. I am a big Sam Smith fan though, so I took his advice and I went and watched a few music videos and thoroughly enjoyed myself. The Sam Smith hate is so prevalent, so universal, that it also showed up in probably the biggest piece of media that contributed to the criticism of the Rush music video for its lack of body diversity. Vulture's Is Troye Sivan's Rush sexy fun or gay detritus? It's both. In the article, one of the contributors writes, "It feels like part of the reason Troye misses out on the spotlight is because he's gay and unwilling to create the watered-down camp that his queer peers are using to gain attention." Hi, Sam Smith. First of all, watered down? Sam Smith enters the I'm Not Here to Make Friends music video in a golden helicopter wearing this dress. Like, what about this is watered down? I'm not following. And second, using it to gain attention. Sam Smith had plenty of attention when they were just singing like heartbreak pop ballads. They got Grammys, award show performances, #1 hit after #1 hit. It seems clear to me that this change in direction occurred because Sam wanted it to, not for attention, but whatever. I have to say, if you really hate seeing skinny people so much, Sam Smith's videos probably aren't for you either. Because obviously there are skinny people in Sam Smith's music videos. Because obviously the problem people had with Rush was never that they hated skinny people. There clearly is more body diversity in most of Sam Smith's more recent music videos. But even then, it seems like there's still this divide between the normal dancers and the token fat dancer. Which isn't the improvement in the dance industry that's needed, but it is like a step in the right direction, I guess. This is something I've noticed recently, even beyond Sam Smith. Taylor Swift's Eras tour seemed to be the same way. There were the skinny normal dancers, and then the token plus-sized dancer. It sounds really bad when I put it like that, but I don't think it is. Again, a step in the right direction. What I'm trying to say is that even if the dance industry hasn't shaken its tendency to instill most dancers with a fear of any small amount of body fat, it at least also seems to hire people who have shaken that fear every once in a while. The end goal, of course, should be liberation from this idea that there is one specific type of body that is the healthiest for everyone, that there is this one specific type of body that is the best at dancing, that every professional dancer has to have 0% body fat because nobody wants to look at anybody other than that. Which brings us to the final idea from this TikTok that I want to discuss. The issue of representation.
You're not going to see someone that represents you in every piece of media you consume.
I think he's missing the point here, maybe deliberately. He's discussing representation, but I don't think the primary issue here is the representation in this specific music video. The big issue is one of a lack of body representation in the dancing industry more generally. I definitely care that fat people are represented in media, but I think I care a lot more about fat people not being discriminated against in any sort of hiring process. If that was achieved, then fat people would just be in music videos without anyone having to think about it, which is exactly how Troye said this music video was made, without any thought being put into the representation of body diversity.
It's going to get to the point where we'll be like, I chipped my teeth in 3rd grade eating rocks. Why do I not see someone with chipped teeth in this music video? I'm bald and there weren't any bald people in that music video. Let's go ahead and cancel that. Enough.
I agree that there's no need for chipped tooth representation in every piece of media. The issue isn't representation on screen as much as it is representation of workers in the industry. There would be no issue if a piece of media just happens to not have any bald people in it. But there would be an issue if bald people were systematically discriminated against in the hiring process. And that's exactly what happens with plus-size dancers. Another thing I think is important to point out here, because we're talking about a specific music video, is how this specific music video was made. Apparently there wasn't any sort of open casting call for dancers or background actors for this music video. From what I can tell, all of the dancers and background extras came from one place, the CDK company, a dancing group from the Netherlands. For all I know, maybe they do have inclusive hiring practices and they just happened to hire all thin dancers. I'm not sure, because I'm not really interested in talking about these dancers specifically. I don't know them personally, I don't know their life, but there were some people who felt it was necessary to comment on these strangers' bodies. In that same Vulture article, is Troye Sivan's Rush sexy fun or gay detritus? Again, both. The other author writes, "This video has all the subtlety of a 1990s Calvin Klein campaign. It's a return to body fascism and emaciation, two gay tastes that actually never went out of style. Eat something, you stupid twinks." Why does no one have a normal take? Obviously, this is also not it. If the problem I've outlined so far is the systemic discrimination against fat in the dance industry, this guy's problem seems to be the individual thinness of these specific people. Troye himself expressed his frustration with this comment during an interview with Rolling Stone when he touched on the controversy. He said, they were talking about the lack of body diversity, and in the same sentence this person said, "Eat something, you stupid twinks." That really bummed me out to read that, because I've had my own insecurities with my body image. I think that everybody's body is beautiful as it is, including my own, and it just sucks to see people talking about other people's bodies. Instructing people who you don't know and have never met on the eating habits that they should be adopting is not helpful to anyone. It only fosters an environment of shame and fear around food and eating, which is unhealthy for everyone and unhelpful for anyone suffering from body image issues. I also don't think this controversy can be separated from the queerness of the artist, song, video, and audience of people who are listening to it. Troye is a gay man, and the song and video are pretty explicitly about the sexual tension between two men. And though Troye has always had female fans, it really seems like he's trying to lean into that demographic of gay men specifically with this song. Before the 1980s, gay communities were very accepting of all sorts of body diversity. But with the rise of the AIDS epidemic, which infected and killed mostly gay men, having a fit, muscular, but toned body became a way for men to communicate with others that they were healthy, that they weren't infected. This very specific type of body then became the standard among gay men. It's the exact type of body that seems to be copy-pasted throughout the Rush music video. This, I think, helps explain why so many people criticized this music video specifically. If most music videos include skinny-only background dancers, this is the one that got criticized because it's being criticized by queer people who want to return to a time where there wasn't so much pressure to have a specific type of body in order to feel welcomed into the community. They're trying to unravel a harmful social consequence of this epidemic. They're trying to get out from under the shadow of this horrible tragedy. And anyone who doesn't even try to understand the genuine critiques of the music video are trying to convince you, intentionally or not, that the community doesn't deserve better. I think part of the reason this TikTok is so frustrating to me is because it's so obviously a reactionary take, and so many liberals are falling for it. I think at least in part because they like the song, they like the music video, and they hate being made to feel bad for enjoying them. But here's the thing. I like the song. I like the music video. I love the song in the music video, in fact. Turns out you can like a piece of art while also understanding the genuine criticisms of it. To me, there is a really simple fix to falling for reactionary takes like this. Curiosity and imagination. Obviously, if this TikTok was your first time hearing about this controversy, you're going to assume that the issue is a bunch of narcissistic fat people upset that fat people aren't represented in every single last piece of media. With a little bit of curiosity, you might ask yourself, even if that attitude is a little silly, might there be another more genuine critique that I just haven't heard yet? And with a little imagination, you might find yourself considering fat phobia in the music industry. Whether it's actually true that only thin people should be considered attractive, and if throwing a bear or two in there might have made a hotter, sexier music video for some fans. Yes. I guess what I'm trying to say is that Trisha Paytas was right.
Troye Sivan, we love you, but maybe get a fatty in there.
A fatty or two in there.
A fatty in there. Should be a
Like
song like
exclude.
"Fat Boys, We Are Hot Too."